Hey,
hmm That's Quincy.
this is for educational purposes. You should only family. That's cool. Say what you want
Mhm.
Now listen to me, little bitch. I'm gonna ask you some real simple questions, and I want some real simple answers. You understand? So let me get this right. You bought the bottle of beer about 11:15.
I bought the beer and I accidentally dropped it.
You bought the bottle of beer at 11:15.
At
Oh
11,
my God.
yeah, at 11:15, yeah, 11:15.
Yeah.
Then why wasn't the bottle cleaned up? Why
Be-
did you find it still
Yeah.
there, spilled on the floor after the shoot?
when I was
I got to
after
put
we was
Pepsi.
leaving, after I left, other people was coming in. They when we was leaving,
But you don't remember what they
but
had.
they look. I,
But you bought the bottle of beer definitely at 12:15.
yeah, it was 12:15. Exact. If I'm not mistaken, it was
Now you
12.
see something? Now you see now. You done fucked up now.
I
See
said
what I'm saying?
I no, I thought
No, so you know what I'm saying? That you done
I,
fucked up now. You know that, don't you?
the more questions that cop asked, the more I thought I wasn't gonna never see daylight again.
This time you said you bought the bottle of
I
beer.
was just waiting for them to tell me they seen that damn videotape, but they hadn't. Yeah,
No, you done fucked up, don't
I,
you? No, don't. No, you done fucked up.
without the tape, they had nothing.
Oh my God, man. I gotta dig that out. We all on now. Oh, crazy.
We are live.
Yes, we are. Hold on, man. I gotta put my glasses back on.
You crying, Clegg?
I was crying literally.
Clegg, Dr. Padroni,
I'm
welcome.
so sorry.
This is Winter's Hall style. I mean,
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you did
well, I'm just saying. After last night, and he said your little podcast, I just figured, since he watches it, I'm just gonna highlight him because I was the only podcaster last week that had like a little piece of an inch of feeling for him, but it's gone
I
now.
remember. I
Well, no,
remember what you said.
no,
Was
remember I said I like Quincy. Remember that?
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that. I said, man, I
but
like
he
him.
wasn't pointing to you when he said in your little
I
podcast.
wasn't there. I wasn't there.
In
That's
his big city council seat.
right. So listen, welcome everyone to the After the Council show with the Flint Politics Reboot. Myself and A10 News Media Group, Mickey Jordan, we put our minds together and we said, hey, you guys deserve to know what's going on after the show. So, welcome, Mickey. Welcome, Mr. Clack, and welcome, Dr. Padroni.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is something new that I decided to do today. Mickey just went along with it, so you wouldn't have to hear my mouth all day. And I said, let's start involving our members more. And this seemed to work out really well. Clack's a part of Reboot. You're a part of Reboot. Clack can't hardly speak at meetings. You couldn't speak at meetings. So I think this will go great today, right? So I just want to lay some goofy rules down. You guys don't have to say point of order or anything like that. Dr. Padroni, I'm going to let you start off because I think you were attacked by a member of the audience during public speaking.
Yeah.
You know what? Start us off tonight. You can respond. The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, like I said last night, what he said wasn't wrong. It was how he said it that was wrong and that was attacking, right? I mean, it was his body language. He turned to me and pointed to me, and he started out with "out of town professor." But he's not wrong. I am from out of town. And he's also not wrong. I hadn't yet proposed solutions because Liddell Lewis didn't let me finish that last sentence. And I understand that might be the rules and they get applied sometimes and not others.
Right.
But I got to come back on and talk about my solution. So, I mean, that's basically it. I'm going to keep my eyes on the prize, and my eyes on the prize is this work for Flint.
Right.
That needs to be done, and Mr. Matthews can, do whatever he does.
Right. Right. Well, we do care because Mr. Matthews was also up for appointment for the Ethics and Accountability Board.
That's right. I saw that too. Well, they have the tape now, so they can see how guests are treated. I mean, I felt like he was trying to vilify me or degrade me, and I mean, I rode up there on my own dime. I practically ran out of gas on the way up, and I'm just. No one's paying me. I'm just there because I feel like I have something to offer. I've worked with other communities like Flint across Michigan, and Flint is new to me, and I've started to really follow it and learn. And I feel like I've with this, especially with the ARPA, that got me really amped up, and I still am amped up about that. But now with the Ashley Capital, I'm really amped up, and I just sent Mickey something. It is an article, and it's not in the stuff that we normally read. It's not in the stuff that I normally read, right? And I haven't seen this anywhere else, like in the, any MLive or Flint Beat or anything like that. It was an article that's in something called Off-Plan Property Exchange, and I think it has some real revealing stuff in it. But I mean, that might be a starting point. I also just wanted to make sure I just tipped off Mickey. Maybe you already know that. MLive did confirm that lawnmower is now in Quincy's possession, and they say he owns it, right? So there's really no hedging it anymore. There's no hiding it behind. I don't think behind a nonprofit anymore. But really, again, my focus is mostly on. I mean, I view possible corruption, actually let's start saying very, very likely corruption. I guess we'll let the feds decide, right?
Right.
But that to me, that isn't the main story. That just gives us insight into the main story. And the main story is this 72 million, and we don't even know if that's the real figure, but we'll just use that because it's what everybody else has been tossing around. Right. This 72 million for the brownfields. And the corruption just gives us insight on that to say, well, this helps us to better understand the process by which Ashley Capital approached this community and the inroads that it found. Because their whole point is to get us to feel comfortable with them, to accept what they're sharing with us, and part of that is the gifts, right? So anyway, I don't know where to start, but I would love to start here, and I'll just say a few words, and then you can tell me if it's where you want to go. So what I'll say is, one of the things that I said, correcting Doug Matthews afterward, was that I was really serious about solutions. And I wasn't just, like, this is in the past, we should have been treated differently. That is never what I'm about. I wouldn't be driving up to Flint to lament what happened in the past, although there's plenty of material there. But for me, it's about what I said, which is city council, your role should be not passing along this tax capture to Ashley Capital. It should be about pushing back and asking, why is it that this site still requires cleanup? And is Flint really the right body to be doing that? Really, Flint people with their 911 call time and state of the roads, they're the ones who should be putting the bill for this cleanup. I think the way I put it last night was, it's this spectacle of the previous billionaires leaving the place a mess, and the new billionaires coming in, but wanting the people of Flint to clean up for the old billionaires first. So what I said at the end was, because during one of the breaks, I actually talked with Mark from Ashley Capital, and I was pretty direct with him.
Did you get some money?
What's that?
Did you get some money?
I tried.
Okay,
I was like,
okay.
man, I could get some nicer glasses than this. You know, I could be wearing some nicer clothes. Come on, man. Show
Right.
me the money. Show me some green. It didn't work though, so I had to be angry with him instead.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but he said, well, you can't just pie in the sky, go to the government, ask for things. No, you can't just go pie in the sky and ask the government for things. You've got to do it in an organized way, and we know how to do that. And I know that they know how to do it too. And I think that's the most important point that I want to share. So first of all, getting back to what I feel like we can do, and I'm still saying this in the future tense. I know that they voted 5-0, with a few abstentions yesterday to pass this, but I also know that Eagle still has to approve it. And I also know it's never done until it's really done.
Right.
So today, what I've been doing is I've been reaching out through my contacts. I'll be talking to Rashida Tlaib hopefully tomorrow. But what I guess what I really want to share is this piece that I sent Mickey, and again, it's in off plan property exchange. It's not usually on my reading list, but let me just read you some of this so that
Mick said he's about to put it up now.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll wait for him to put up, but then also read what I think are some of the key parts.
Okay.
And this is a story from August 8th. So this is a week ago today.
That's a beautiful house right there.
Keep in mind that Ashley Capital knows this. There's no way that they're not aware of what I'm about to share. I'm going to start, Mickey, if that's okay with you, and if you can get it up there.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there it is. That's what it looks like. That's the article. So you can see August 8th. The state of Michigan is planning to request additional funding for the remediation of the most contaminated areas of the old Buick City site, a former General Motors property. The Racer Trust, which owns Buick City, will need more than the remaining $14.6 million in its cleanup budget to address PFAS contamination and other issues on the site. Elizabeth Brown, Director of Materials Management Division in the Michigan Eagle, mentioned that the state and federal government will request additional cushion funding from the trust administrator. The exact amount of the funding request is not yet known. And then it goes into what Racer Trust has already spent, laid out. Point of this is that actually right now, the very thing that was portrayed as being pie in the sky, that you would go and you can't just go and ask the U.S. government for more, is exactly what is happening right now. The problem is it's happening for the PFAS, and for some reason, it's not happening in relationship to the environmental concerns that Ashley Trust is using to hit up the people of Flint for that $72 million. Right. And I don't know why. I mean, you could say, why just focus on the PFAS? Why not also focus on these environmental impediments that Ashley sees to its redevelopment? Because remember, and I quoted directly yesterday when I gave my first comments from Racer Trust website, and I'm just going to paraphrase it now. They said their responsibility is to with contamination is to remove any impediments to the sale of the property. Now, the very reason that Ashley Capital is coming to Flint, or did come to Flint City Council, is because they want the people of Flint to pay to remove the impediment to the sale. They said very clearly in news articles that they would not follow through with the deal if the brownfield tax capture was not passed by Flint City Council, which it was. Last night it was passed. But they put that as a stipulation. In other words, they were saying that there was an impediment to the sale of the property, which is exactly what Racer Trust responsibility was, to remove those impediments. So one question I have, first of all, is why is Eagle only asking the federal government for those other parts? Why isn't it also asking for the slabs and what's under the slabs? Because again, that's where I think the responsibility is with the US government. And if Racer Trust says, I don't know if it's true or not, I know Art disputes it, I have no way of knowing, but if they say they're out of money, well, they're going for more money from the federal government through Racer Trust for these other costs. And if they can do that, why can't we say, hey, Eagle, hey, Racer Trust, how about these other portions here? Because here's what would happen. If they made a commitment to handle all of it, then suddenly it wouldn't just be Ashley Trust who would be interested in the property, because suddenly now the property is worth a lot more if it has a promise attached to it that it's going to be delivered clean, that it might still take, a couple years, and people can start building on it now, just like Ashley Capital is, right? They're building on it, even though the trust is still doing some work around it. But it could be in the context of saying that the land, maybe the reason why Ashley Trust and they're not advocating for that, for that contamination to be removed through this ask that Eagle is making to the federal government, is because that would bring competitors into the picture.
Right.
Then there would be other people like, okay, it's not clean yet, but it's promised clean, and we can begin our work there, just like Ashley Capital is doing. And once you get other bidders into the picture, well, first of all, your property value is already higher. So Ashley Trust can't make this argument, which is their core argument, right? That, well, right now the land is worth almost nothing. You're getting practically nothing from it. That's true.
Right.
But if the land were cleaned, or if it had a promise attached to it to be cleaned, it would already be worth more. And that is basically elevating the bargaining position of Flint, and it's weakening the bargaining position of Ashley Capital.
So just like a dilapidated house, like nobody wants a house that's run down, but if you get a house and you fix it all up and it's nice and pretty, then everybody wants to buy it. Clack, what do you think about that?
Okay. Clack, say it more. Say it louder. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I said that's exactly what it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's a perfect analogy.
That
says it all.
So we're gonna put a pin in it right there, Doctor, because I gotta talk to Clack, because I had left. And you were there for this vote, this historical vote, as they put it. Like, oh, this vote means so a lot. What did Dylan say? If this vote doesn't happen today, it probably won't happen in my lifetime. Who knows? We don't know. I have questions about this vote. Like, I felt like with all of the questions, with all of the public concern,
yes,
maybe it should have went back to finance. It should have went back. But it got pushed through, and then Councilwoman Tanya Burns, she abstained from the vote. I just personally feel like I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know. I just think like maybe I would have pushed it back, but they still probably didn't have the votes to push it back anyway. So what are you thinking?
So honestly, I was thinking, when the councilwoman from the 7th ward, she asked I forget exactly what question that she asked the lady, but I thought that she was really gonna vote for the home team.
Yeah, she made it seem really good, like great speech.
Like it was. Then there was this suspenseful pause. You know what I mean? Like, and then it was like,
no, you got to pull it closer.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
There was this pause, and then it was like, yes,
right.
And I'm like,
what happened? What did we just witness here? But I mean, we witnessed a lot of things yesterday, Dr. Padroni, that we've never seen before in a council meeting. We never seen where they said, okay, I see people in the audience that I think want to speak. Let's give them some time to come up. And then, I loved it when Mays beat them to the podium. And they were like, oh, well, they knew that Dr. McCumler couldn't speak until they let Mays speak, and he knew exactly what he was doing. Like, if I don't speak, no one speaks.
Right.
So they had to let him speak before they let Dr. McCumler speak. And then what I found crazy, it was like just out of nowhere, Candace said, well, I see Dylan Luna. Don't you want to say something too? It was like,
set up.
See,
yeah,
I missed all that. I was on my way up there.
Well, that's what I was telling you. So we think about Ashley Capital and the name that it has given, like Dennis Pfeiffer said, this is a tainted process. If you guys vote for it, I'm not going to vote for it. I'm going to abstain from this because, you just shouldn't do it. And then we went through Quincy's little tantrum. I do what I was doing. You can't tell me nothing. Because I'll go vote for this because I didn't do that wrong. So we went through all of that, and then we had the lady from Ashley Capital even get up there and say, "It's like, how stupid do they think we are?"
Mhm.
She got up there and she said, "Well, um, he just we went out with Councilman Murphy, and he might have said that he just needed a lawnmower." And just in general conversation, and he might have just told us to send the money to Habitat. And then with Dr. Lewis, we were just sitting down with her, and she might have just told us that she was having a haunted house or a haunted trail, and she just told us what she was lacking in, and we sent her some candy. I mean, some money for some candy.
3 days before the vote for the
Exactly.
You got
3
the mic on, Mickey? Okay, yeah,
Hold
Mickey's
on, my
mic.
bad. My
Okay,
mic was
okay.
off. Now that's gangster.
Yes.
Let's
Let's talk about real gangster. Yeah.
I'm just saying that's gangster. That's just like me and you having a conversation. I just happen to tell you, hey, I need a new studio. I need $20,000 worth of new studio equipment with cameras.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that.
yeah,
I mean, that's just
like
some
for
stuff
real.
to come up.
For
I'm
real.
just saying because we in the media,
Right.
that will be things I ask.
Mhm.
He in the cutting grass, so he gonna want a lawnmower, a zero turn.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right. Isn't that crazy? But then wait a minute, Dr. Padroni, I just got to pivot over because people are like, why is Clack just sitting there? I'm going to tell you why. So we got into the discussion today. If you guys haven't watched Arthur Woodson's live that he did this morning, I thought it was excellent. It was an excellent live. He broke down a lot of things.
Sure was.
But the comments, the chat was, it was popping. And
Idiot in
so
the city.
we had one Mr. Uncle AC Dumas. And Mr. Dumas said that, he was fighting for the black people, for the black contractors. Just like he was doing over at Washington School. This is a Flint Politics Reboot show. So we talked about the Flint Public Schools tearing down Washington Elementary. And Uncle AC said, he's fighting for the black contractors to get some. They would love some of this money to help clean up the Buick site. They would love to tear down Washington School. And then Mr. Clack just went off on him. Just went off on Uncle AC.
It, it wasn't that I just went off on him.
Oh,
There's a sequence of events that led up to.
well, do tell, because Winters Hall doesn't really have the word on the street, even though I did hear the FBI was here, but I'm not going to talk about that. They're in town. No, they're not in here. We haven't done anything wrong.
Watch out, Mickey. Watch out.
But no, it was for what happened. I don't really want to go through the whole situation, but we find out that he had supposedly had a meeting with Ashley Capital.
Yeah, that was my word on the street for Friday. The word said that he was meeting with Ashley Capital.
And it was like, wait a minute. So you come down here and you fuss at me. He called me about the reason my vote at the school board. And it's like, well, I don't really have any control over who bids for what.
Right.
It's a closed bid, a fair bid. It's not like I'm saying, hey, black businesses, you get the black envelope and everybody else get the white envelope. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how I can be accused of going against black business. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's weird. I got the whole Black Power fist tatted on my arm.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. You got the black forces. You got the whole blacky black thing going on.
Like, so you can't say that I have something against black business because I don't. I got 3 black businesses myself.
Well, maybe he caught the wrong person.
Well, at the end of the day, you can't say things like that, and then we find out that you got a meeting with the same people that are, participated in paying off council members.
Well, on Unc's behalf, he said, I found out after the show because I told y'all and I told Unc because I knew some people was going to go back. I told him I was going to text him and then I was going to tag him into the video. He said that he had the meeting with Ashley Capital and a group of other contractors with Wilbur Proper Jared. That's what he told me. And then today, Arthur Woodson said, Papa didn't go. Uncle AC said you was a lie. But then come to find out, Papa didn't go. Papa had emergency in his family. So we really don't know what happened in that meeting. All we know is that Uncle AC said he was fighting for the black contractors because they need some money in the city of Flint. I guess that's where.
Now that, with that being said, like there's no problem with any of that.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I
But
think that's
in the
great.
comments earlier today, he specifically mentioned the contractor that was not black.
Oh, they are
So
black,
that-
are they?
So
That's
that's why I
weird.
said what I said, and that's why I continued to say what I was saying. Like, wait a minute. And then when he asked who was I referring to, and I'm like, I'm talking about you.
Yeah. I told him that. I said you, like, because I don't
Like,
want him to be
This
lost in
is
the
not.
comments.
I'm not like this is serious business here. Like, there's no reason to be beating around the bush about what's going on. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, if our kids and their kids are gonna have to pay for what's going on, like you can't just be getting, trying to get your little piece off the top or whatever you're trying to do. Like, no, this is bigger than that.
Right. And that's another thing, Dr. Padroni, while you're watching Flint, we spent a whole weekend talking about the Montgomery brawl and the unity that it caused. And I said that in Flint, we can't have the type of unity here that we need because we are too busy fighting each other. And you see that. You see where one week Eric Mays is back in the council. The next week, the judge overturns the decision. The same day, by coincidence, two of his recalls get, pushed through successfully. This is Flint. It makes you want to give up. We seen not only did they call up speakers in yesterday's meeting, we seen how the council attacks the public. No one says anything about that. Eva keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Yesterday she took out her phone to film.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, she can't film people. And so Liddell said, well,
Y'all-
you guys film us. But it's like leadership. You should be held at a higher standard. I say, once it's your media, but you're biased. You're media, but you talk about us. Well, I don't have a media degree and I can say what the hell I want because I don't cut grass. I don't eat a lot of candy. Now take that.
Take that.
Take that. So what did you think about the Mays? Mays is the decision on Mays getting reversed. What do both of you guys think about that?
I'm not even sure I want to say what I want to say. I'm not even sure. Because I just.
Well, Clack,
I
something that
abstain.
okay, well, you can abstain.
I abstain.
Tomorrow it's a Flint school board meeting. You're going to have your hands full because it's a lot of people want to know why one of your board members are out there lobbying for Ashley Capital to come and give the Flint school board some money. But, I'm not going to put you in that position on my show. I'm not going to say who it was on the school board that calls herself a doctor that also said, hey, Ashley Capital, we got some messed up schools. If you want to come over here. I thought that was kind of weird for a board member to do. What do you think? Like Dr. Padroni, this is Flint.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a few things to say. I mean, first of all, I watched the Mays hearing. I think some of you might have been on there as well. I don't know, but it was yesterday at 9 a.m. and we were able to watch it via Zoom. And I think the judge set a really dangerous precedent for one thing. And here's what he basically said. He said, because it's important to remember, he was not ruling on May's behavior at all. His decision had nothing to do with May's behavior. His decision was all about this question: does the city council have the right to discipline its own members, and is the discipline they handed out to Mays justifiable? Like, in other words, not that he should be punished. It wasn't about his behavior. It was like, can they give out a 30-day suspension? That was the question. Okay. And he basically, what the judge said was this. He said, well, the charter allows the city council even to remove a member. So if it can remove a member, then surely it can suspend someone for 30 days, or we could add 60 days, 90 days, and so on, right? But so first of all, the problem with that is that there's a big difference when someone resigns or is removed. We just saw this with Allie Herkenroder resigning. there are strict limits on how they've got to replace that person within a limited amount of time. And the reason why is because the charter is guarding against a ward not having representation. So if someone resigns, or let's say they got kicked out, which the charter allows, then they would quickly have to put someone, it's in within 30 days or something, right? It's a very quick process.
We don't follow the rules here in Flint, only when it's convenient to us.
Right?
Yeah.
But so if you end up suspending someone, there's nothing in place to replace them. So you could suspend someone. He basically opened the door to a 60-day, 90-day, 120-day, whatever suspension. And what that really means is you are taking a representation away from that ward all of that time. If you just kick the member, and that's not what I'm advocating, but if the member resigned or you kicked him out completely, that's almost not as much of a punishment to the ward, because at least they get a new member again at that table within 30 days. Right. With the suspension, it opens up to all kinds of abuse. And we see the potential for that abuse because not at this meeting, but the previous meeting, the same meeting where they voted the 30-day suspension. So it was actually 2 meetings before that. Right. Liddell Lewis threatened Tanya Burns with a 30-day suspension, right? Yeah. And so what starts happening is, well, is it really about discipline, or is it about removing your political opposition, but you dress it up like it's discipline, right? And you now have the power. They have the power they can remove Tanya for 30 days. They can remove JWC or whoever they want. They can remove Pfeiffer for 30 days. And
that's been really tearing up Dennis's butt, hasn't she? That's funny. That friendship is wobbly.
Yeah. You were talking about the the dividedness, and you were referring to Montgomery. I mean, I think that's true that there's a lot of infighting in Flint. I would say it's actually pretty typical of a lot of communities because, like I've done work with Inkster and Benton Harbor and Detroit and many others. I won't go over the whole list again, but I've seen a lot of that kind of division. But what I think it's important to point out is that the different factions have a different relationship to who's making the big calls out there, right?
Right.
So the 5 of them, or whoever it is, they've got the power of the Neely administration and everything that he represents behind them. They're able to really call the charges. And so,
Neely really doesn't run this, right? He's he doesn't really run this town. He's like a battery pack.
Neely, right? He's a stand. Is that what you're saying? He's a stand-in for people like Ashley and many other people as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate the day that I ever supported that man.
Well, I never have.
Yeah, I did. It was a big mistake. Mickey, you're not saying much tonight.
Yeah, because I'm letting y'all have
at it. What did he say? I couldn't hear him.
He's letting us have at it. That he's just letting us have at it. Look, but we got the Flint is backwards, Dr. Padroni, and I just wanted to give you this introductory podcast. Welcome to Flint. You've seen the Flint Council, and I said it right. The Flint Council last night. But we do have great things coming up. Like for instance, this weekend we have the 4th of July fireworks.
Yeah, I love Flint.
We have 4th of July fireworks in August.
Oh,
what kind of shit is that? 4th of July fireworks in August. I'm like, why? And then they're like, oh, he's having it doing Back to the Bricks for all the people to come and see. But it's always a curfew doing Back to the Bricks.
Right.
Yeah, it's a curfew every year. They talk about charter violations and constitutional rights, except the Back to the Bricks weekend. Constitutional rights are waived. They want that curfew that's set in mostly, I believe, and this is the opinion of Winters Hall, they have that set against our Black kids to not come downtown, to keep them, restrained to their environment, to their home area. So it's not going to be for them. Huh?
Is that Hallwood Plaza?
Hallwood Plaza? Yeah, basically. And they put up cameras there too.
No, they took the cameras down, I think, and they put up like the little gates, or and they got police that's in the parking lot.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sure I seen that article where they are sending extra police up there, and I said, you know what? I bet Mr. Brown that owns Vibes nightclub on Saginaw Street, would also love that type of attention from the Flint Police Department. He would love some extra security instead of coming out of his pocket every week. That's just my humble opinion. Have you guys seen? It was on Arthur Woodson's page today. Shout out to Arthur Woodson. You getting a couple little plugs in there for me today, Art.
My bad. Shout out to Art.
Did you see the Grand Prairie woman? I mean, I want a cowboy hat. Prairie View. Yeah. Okay, Prairie View, Texas. And she walked into their council meeting with her cowboy hat on. Yep. And she had her dolly with boxes and files, and she said, this is going to the feds, and this is going to the feds, and this is going to the feds. Who is that? Tell Art to unblock me. I will not tell a grown man to unblock anyone on Facebook. And this is going to the feds, and this is going to the feds. And then she had a lady, a process server there, serve some of the county council members.
And was it the mayor too?
Yeah, and the mayor was up there too. Yeah. I was blown away. For one, the mayor attends the council meetings and actually sits there. And then this lady, she went up there and she was shaking these handcuffs. Clink, 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 clink. This is what it's going to sound like. Mm-hmm. Clink, clink, clink. And then she had someone in the audience that was dressed up in a jumpsuit like they were going to jail. And she said, you know, like one of the things that stood out to me, they must have an ARPA committee as well. Mm-hmm. And she said, you guys have people on this ARPA committee. Dr. Candace Matthews is that who was Derek Smart. She said, you guys have people on this ARPA committee that are handling federal dollars that have served federal time. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you vet these people? And that was a lot of our concern, not so much the people serving federal time, but how did they vet the people? Yeah, that's what I said, Kermit. How do you vet these people that are on this ARPA committee? And Kermit, we know that was no coincidence. That was designed, part of the master plan. But go ahead.
The master plan.
Yeah, you got to read that. You got to read into that too.
Yep.
And then let me see. I just want to make sure I touched over everything that happened yesterday.
Well, I got something when you're done.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that we talked a little bit about Candace and her vote yesterday. She was the crucial fifth vote, right? Mm-hmm. And I went up and I talked to her afterward, like immediately after the meeting ended. And we never met. So I introduced myself and I complimented her because, initially, because I said, I'd watched some of the talks she gave during the We Verve Men and so on. So I was very polite. Mm-hmm. But I said, I was a bit surprised that you ended up being the fifth vote, the crucial vote that passed this. And I said, because the questions that you were asking during the session showed that, both you and Quincy, but, that there were some basic elements of the proposal that you hadn't yet had a chance to wrap your head around. And I said, it's really, there's a lot there. So there's a lot to wrap your head around. And I said, so I'm surprised that you voted for it because, you could have just said, I need a little bit more time with this. I don't have a lot of answers. And even Ashley Capital said in the press that their goal was to get this through by September 1st. So why couldn't she have just said, I still, I have a lot of questions. I just need to learn more about this. What she told me was, she said, well, the reason I voted for it was because they promised a community benefits agreement.
Damn it.
Now let's look at what they actually said. They did not promise. They said they would consider it.
Entertaining one.
Yeah.
They would entertain it. They would entertain a thought about it. Think about it. It's like a community benefits agreement is like a negotiation. Your position of leverage and asking for it is, we're not going to prove this unless you dress this community benefits agreement up real nicely. Once you've already said yes, the ball's in their court, and anything that they might give you is just pure generosity at that point.
Yeah.
You need to, when you do a community benefits agreement, you're like, no, that's not enough. How about this? How about this?
What they said they give to a lot of the communities that they work in. So I believe, me and Mickey still have hope for that great new big tall 10-story studio building. You're not laughing. Clack's not laughing. Well, Clack, you got bigger problems. Maybe you'll get a new school because Joyce is asking them for one. Okay, let's go.
Well, 9:10 a.m. has, they just let go all their hosts. So
Yeah, they're going into sports. I told Mickey I wanted to. He told me I couldn't.
I had arranged for Tanya Burns and Arthur Woodson to be on a show out there on Thursday night, this coming Thursday. So that's off and out of the picture now, canceled.
Mm. Mm. Oh, sorry about that. Clack. So when they passed this vote, wait a minute, why is your show canceled for this Thursday?
Because 9:10 a.m. is unloading all of their hosts. We had a show set for.
You were going on whose show?
We were going on Charlene Mitchell's show. She has a show on Thursday evenings between 9 and 11, or had between 9 and 11. Yep. And so we were going to go on that.
Okay. Okay. So you guys, did you stay to the end of the meeting, Dr. Petroni?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't. I know, and I know you were there. So how happy was, because Ashley Capital looked real nervous when I was leaving. Dennis was sitting in one chair in the hallway, and the lady, Susan, they're on first name basis with Judy, who doesn't remember anybody. They're on first name basis and stuff, and she was sitting in the other chair. She looked petrified. But how happy were they when this vote went through, guys?
I saw people high fiving in the foyer.
I would too. They just swindled Flint out of $72 million. I'd be, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot. But Clack, you've been in politics for a long time. Dr. Pedroni, you've been following politics for a long time. Is it just me? Or do you guys think it's more checks out there? Because I just can't for the life of me think that we just sold out for some candy in the lawnmower.
There's more.
My honest opinion is, I think that those checks that were released under the impression that people were going to stop digging and stop looking around. And
we don't do that in Flint.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what really happens when, we
got a whole anonymous group that just popped up, right versus wrong. I have no clue how these people find up the stuff that they're due. When they seen these, they got these checks and they seen them, and now they're digging and digging and digging and digging. Like, people aren't going to stop. The whole world is watching Flint, Michigan.
Eric told me that there were 359,000 people.
It was on his TikTok.
On his 359.
Over 300,000 people were watching his TikTok last night at the council meeting.
The whole meeting.
The whole entire meeting. Look.
The whole meeting.
Look at Nick Few. Over 1 million followers. And who does he follow? Flint City Council. Yeah. I promise, if you guys make me famous, I will not let you down.
You're already famous.
Next time, Murphy, next time you say my little podcast, make sure you say the Winters Hall Show.
That's why I get there.
With pride. All right. So what else, guys? Is anything else? Clack, what do you want to talk about?
You don't have anything to do, come on down to the school board meeting tomorrow. Start at 6:30.
Oh, yeah. Put that out there. Over at Scott School.
At Accelerated Learning Academy, the old Scott School, across from the IMA.
Okay, that's what you want to call it now, the Accelerated Learning Academy. I'm not going to get on you because you know what? You're my guy.
Well, just trying to do what's right.
I know you're trying to do what's right, but you got a lot of people on there that's not trying to do what's right. Yeah, you're learning that. I know you're learning that. I still think that you should have been in that 7th Ward Council seat. Wouldn't that have been awesome, Dr. Pedroni? Michael,
yeah. Did he put his name in? I don't think you did.
Nope. I couldn't talk him into it. I was trying and trying and trying.
If you had Ashley Capital, they could have helped out with that.
Right. I would have done. But the way things are done in Flint, I was actually going to run for the 7th Ward. I figured if Liddell stays in Maryland and can do it, I could stay in Grand Blanc. It's closer.
You're right.
I could do it too. So Dr. Pedroni, when you look at the whole situation, you ball it up into a big spit wad. What are some of your solutions? Now that's what I want to hear.
Well, let me first say what I think the problem is.
We know what the problem is.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've heard people talk about it, but I think I want to be precise, at least what my view is of it, right? I mean, because to me, the problem isn't so much division. It's the same agenda that's happening in every city in the United States. including in Flint, I guess, especially in predominantly Black cities, which is, I guess, almost most of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, I mean, to put it at its most basic, what you saw in America, and I won't go on forever. I know I'm a professor, but I'll do this in a minute. Is you had white people fleeing Black folks in the downtown of every city, beginning in the 50s and so on. That made a lot of money for real estate interest, financial interest, because when everybody moves, that's who makes money, right? When you sell your house, the people who make money are the bank and the realtors, right?
Right.
So everybody moved out to the suburbs, and now the pitch is, we want to reclaim the city. We want to take the city back. And especially the parts that are really nice. Those are the ones they're going to get their hands on first.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get the parts that are really nice, then they want to get the ones that are closer to what's really nice.
Right.
That increases the value. So it's always a process of it's people say gentrification, but I think we need to unpack it a little bit more. What it's really about is displacement. It's about displacing the wrong people from the perspective of those who want to make a lot of money. Get them to move out. Get them to move either into the least desirable parts of the city or even into the inner ring suburbs, because nobody wants those anymore. Because those were built a long time ago. They're falling apart. They're not as big as the suburbs that are farther out. And I think that's where Flint is like every other city. I mean, we see that script everywhere we look. And it's what I study. Detroit, Chicago, all of those places I've named are having the exact same process. And from a government perspective, so this goes back to Pfeiffer's response to me when I presented the first time on July 10th. He said, well, the mayor's Black, the city council majority Black, the police. Remember all that?
Yeah.
He's right. They are all Black. But the question is, whose interests are they acting for? Right? It doesn't, I mean,
right.
In Detroit, he was Black. In Detroit, all the emergency managers were Black. Right? Except with the very last one. But the point is that it's about whose interests that they're serving. And that's where like when you're talking about, and I haven't studied it that closely yet, but I believe you right away when you talk about, well, Neely's not really the one in power. It's the people who are behind him.
Right.
I absolutely believe that. Like there's a lot of wealth to be made as an individual. For some people, that's a lawnmower.
Right. Absolutely.
It's a lot more, right? By going along with that agenda. And it's an agenda that primarily benefits real estate interests, financial interests who see value in the city. It's a value in the city that, we all want to have a nice downtown. People in Detroit are happy about having a nice downtown, but it also pushes people away. And it's also about, and this is the point I really want to get to, and then I'll shut up. It's about using the tool of government and always pushing every bit of power the government has toward the most already advantaged and keeping it from the least advantaged. And look at ARPA. That's what ARPA is all about.
Right.
It's all about, and I'm sure it's not just in Flint. It's all about, well, there's this huge amount of money coming down from the federal government. How do we welcome that money, but then make it flow the right ways and don't have it flow the wrong ways?
And I'm glad like we're expunging on this conversation, because I just wrote down on something. It says school system, and I'm glad to have a professor on here, and I'm glad to have
a professor of education.
Professor of education. Let me get that right. And then I have the school board president on here who's not acting in his official capacity today before the comments go wild. But what do you guys think that this gentrification, this pushing out, like you want to build up your city, but look at how it's affecting our school system. Like, so is the demise of the school system, the public school system, a part of this plan? Yes. I mean, don't you want to live somewhere that they have a nice school system? So what am I missing?
No, it definitely is part of the plan.
It definitely is central.
To get rid of the publics. I mean, don't you want to live somewhere and raise your children where it's a nice, vibrant school system?
But it's yes, but people have written about this at length. Like, it's the core of my research in Detroit. And Detroit lost 200 out of its 300 schools during the first state takeover and then during emergency management. 200 of 300 schools. And I know the population is declined, but we can unpack that. 200 out of 300 schools. A lot of times people really identify with the school, right? I mean, I know here, I watched a video of people cleaning up at Northern High School a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
It was us.
Wow. You know,
Like
the love that they
Harletta
showed.
Martin.
Harletta
Yep.
Martin.
Shout us out to Harletta.
Right.
They're having a Northern
So
Tailgate.
you shut down a school, you do a number of things. You ruin a key identity marker for people who, and I think that particularly for a lot of Black folks in the cities, public schools are like one of the only public institutions that people have been able to really connect themselves to and say, you know, that means something to me, that I came through that high school, my kids are going to go to that high school, or, you know, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
When you close the school, you also disrupt all the social networks that are connected to that school. So the school is not just a building, it's also where different people all kind of come together and form that social fabric, that social network that gets work done for people and makes their lives work. And then finally, when you close down a school, it has a ripple effect in blighting the rest of the community around it, and making it's like the first step in killing a neighborhood is to close down the school. And you see that in Chicago, you see that in Detroit, you see that in Houston. People are writing about all of this. And that's actually the core. I mean, I know I haven't talked about education much, but the core of my research is about how education policy.
He's so excited about it. I love it.
Yeah.
He's very
He's very
passionate about
passionate,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, like
And I'm Italian, so I got the hands going. Yeah.
Tony Soprano.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like I'm also from New Jersey, just like May's attorneys. So you know,
Oh,
we
okay.
know
Okay.
people. We
Let's
know
talk
people.
law firm.
Yeah.
Like, what's your thoughts? So I seen Tony Wiggins in the comments, and Tony, who's a part of Flint Politics Reboot as well. He said, Winters, this must be a rhetorical question. You know they're trying to privatize education. Totally agree.
Mhm.
But when it hits home, Clack, what do you do when you know for a fact that you are working with people that are on the same board, but you're working against each other?
All I can do is be on record trying to, you know, say and do the right thing. And
Right.
you know, that's pretty much all I can do. If I get support for, you know, 3 other board members and we move in the right direction and doing everything the right way, then you know, that's great. But all the time that's not what's happening. And you all can see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's sad that certain situations happen and we are all supposed to be in the business of focusing on the scholars.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be that hard if everybody was focused on the one thing that we're there for.
The children. Duh. The children. They forgot about the children. Just like council has forgotten about the residents.
The citizens.
I mean, it's and I've heard Arthur Woodson say it over and over and over again. And I've said it too. It's not personal.
No.
We don't dislike you personally. We
It's
just
politics.
don't dislike your politics. We don't like your politics. We don't like your voting pattern. It's not just one vote and everything is great. It's a pattern. We don't like the sensational six, the fab five, the shady bunch. We don't like any of that when we see only dollars going to one section of town. Or just spreading out, like you said, just a little bit, you know, of the sections that are closer to downtown, that little radius.
It's crazy. And I just had to say this
Go
because I
ahead.
haven't said it to anybody
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
But it's crazy because I'm on the school board and I get calls from people like in the community, like, hey, well, I got this going on tonight. I'm like, I don't have anything to do with your house. Like, I
Yeah.
can help you out with that.
Yeah.
But people just think that because you hold a title that you can, you know, you have a certain influence on things. But I direct everybody to, you know, hey, you better call Councilwoman Burns, man. You want something done.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
You better call Tanya.
Right. Because, you know what? And I don't want anybody to think I was shading Councilwoman Burns.
No.
I just had I know you wasn't, but you know, I said in the beginning, like, I don't understand why the vote went through. I'm sure she's going to give me everyone a clear explanation of what she did, why she did it, what happened.
But she didn't vote yes. She didn't vote yes.
She voted yes on in special affairs and got it to the next step. When it was just me. I personally felt it should have just died and went back down, but it wouldn't have died anyway. It wouldn't, because they still had the 5 votes. She was the 6th one. I just wanted her to just abstain.
There were too many people in the audience that stayed all that time to see what was going on for it not to happen yesterday.
Yeah.
Like once when I walked out, because I walked in late. When I walked in and I kind of glazed the room and I saw who all was there, at that time. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, they were supposed to be done at 10:30, and I'm like, what?
Right.
Right.
It's amazing how that place could stay open. It was always
Yeah.
by 9:30, but
right.
It's amazing that Eva can stay late on sometimes when she, another time she just never shows. Like school is about to start again, she won't be there. We don't have to worry about her too much.
He worked third shift, don't he?
Oh, they probably paid him, child, to just skip work. He skipped last week. I'm not gonna say he skipped last week. He just was late. Like he was nervous last week. Last week he said, I'm late for work because I want y'all to hear my explanation.
I just know that it was going to happen, regardless of what happened, who said what, who stood up, who.
Hey, Dr. Padroni, I just want to say this. Like, I got to put in a couple shameless plugs for A10 News Media Group. Shout out to A10 News Media Group and the greatest producer in the world, Mickey Jordan. Listen, if you guys are liking our content, we can't get any Ashley Capital money. We can't get any grants. We can't get anything. Cash App $A10 News Media Group. I promise you, we will try to cover everything that we can, but we have a limited amount of equipment, a limited amount of funds. We would love to put those council meetings on YouTube for you so you wouldn't have to depend on Paul, because Mickey has some hell of a great equipment. We just need some portable equipment. So $A10 News Media Group, we would really appreciate it. And also, it was something else I wanted to say that it slipped my mind. I can't think of it, so let's just talk about something else real quick. We talk about the guy. Who's that guy that didn't like you? That Matthews guy. Doug Matthews. They were putting Doug Matthews up for the Ethics and Accountability Board. But Mr. Joe King, I love Mr. Joe King. Now let me tell you, when I say it's not personal, it's politics. I didn't never say anything. I will never ever say anything bad about Mr. Joe King, because his Mother Black was like a grandmother to me. She was a grandmother to me. And 2 days after, he just buried his mother last month. 2 days after he buried his mother, he held an ethics and accountability meeting, only to be told, is it allegedly or is it really out there, like Neely told him, you're not going to get reappointed because of some stuff that he did. Did you guys, anybody out there hear that?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even pay attention to.
You don't pay attention to it. So I heard. Let me see. So allegedly, word on the street. Hold on, let me get this word for you. So he buried his mother on a Monday, and he conducted a ethics and accountability board meeting that Thursday, and I heard that Neely didn't want him reappointed because he wanted to know why he didn't include the WIN and ARPA in the budget or something like that. And then Clyde gave him an excuse that he can't be on two boards at the same time. I think he may be on the MTA board. So someone has heard that, it's Brenda Boyd. He's heard that he's gone and Matthews has taken his place. But I seen both of them on the agenda last night.
And he was there too. They were both there last night.
They both were there. So I'm wondering how that's going to go, because that was really weird. But they didn't get to that last night, did they? What, did they just adjourn after they got?
They got done what the bosses needed to get done.
Yeah. They couldn't leave.
Pretty much over with.
They could not leave last night until they passed Ashley Capital. I mean,
going to happen.
We just got to put it out there.
Yeah, and that shows who has the power, right?
Absolutely. And another thing that struck me, they came and it was like, if you follow politics, if you know Flint's history, you knew that Ashley Capital was going to get the money. That was just point blank, period. They were going to get what they want, but I thought they were doing a little bit too much to already have the votes. I knew they had the votes. I can count to 5. But what was kind of weird to me is that they had the letters of support. When you see letters of support on the agenda, that it's coming. But out of all of these companies that supported Ashley Capital, it makes me wonder, and I don't know, and I'm not shading any of these companies. I'm just simply reading the names and wondering, do any of the CEOs stay in Flint, or do they contribute to any of Flint's tax base? It says Dylan Luna and Tyler Rosser of the Flint and Genesee Economic Alliance on behalf of the following organization. Here's the list of support for Ashley Capital. AT&T, Michigan, Bishop International Airport Authority. You can stop me when you guys hear somebody that's
They all live in the North Ward.
Consumers Energy, D. Kramer, Goyette Mechanical, GST Michigan Works, Hamilton Community Health Network, Huntington, Hurley Medical Center, Lawrence E. Moon Funeral Home, nobody's stopping me, Lewis and Knopf CPAs PC, Mass Transportation Authority, McLaren Flint Foundation, Mock Community College, Northgate.
Not in Flint. I mean, there's a lot of them are in Flint.
But who actually from these boards or companies stay in Flint that contribute to the tax base? Yeah. Well, I'm not done. Northgate, Ruth Mott Foundation, Sky Point Ventures, the Genesee Group, the Sylvester Room Empowerment Village, and the University of Michigan Flint. No, Philip W.T. Stevens is not on that list. They're on the list to be paid by the city of Flint. City of Flint still owes them $1.2 million. So what do you think about that list? Tom Padroni, Michael Clack, when you guys see millionaires fighting for millionaires, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I mean, there could be some honest people in there who just really don't understand what this is and who really think this is the best option. And they're the ones who just need to be educated and said that this is the best option right now, but it's kind of a setup.
Right.
It's a setup that is benefiting Ashley. Other people, I don't know. I mean, that they're part of a lot of those people, they're the bosses.
Yeah, that's true.
They're the ones who are on the gravy train, and they want the gravy train to continue.
It's the city of Livonia. $3 million. Yeah. Ashley Capital gives them a year. But for 20 years, did Ashley Capital get this? For 20 years, Flint, once again, has given them a tax break, and we only get $1 million a year. Now, let's just say that this land is redeveloped and they build all of these beautiful buildings and they have hundreds of thousands of people working there, and they are going to be making millions. Mm-hmm. So for $1 million a year to the city of Flint that is poor, that we need money.
But no benefits agreement.
No benefits agreement? I mean, what do you guys think?
I mean,
right, speechless, right?
Yeah.
Speechless. Speechless.
You should have a community benefits agreement and not have a tax capture, right? And
shouldn't that have been negotiated on the front end and not mentioned
exactly
30 seconds before the vote?
Tony Wiggins, I see your comment. He did support it too. They had Pastor Lewis Randolph on there. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But they had everybody on that list. They had all the millionaires in Flint and the surrounding counties that supported this stuff. And it's like you kind of feel bad. Like, I know if I was a council person and I'm looking at this list and I voted against this, I might say, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble.
I mean, if you read the news stories, at least in the few weeks leading up to this, like in M Live and Flint Beat and the various, the television stations, most of them, maybe not Flint Beat, maybe I'll take them out of there. Most of them the stories are set up in a way that it makes it sound like a person would have to be a complete idiot to be opposed to this. How could you not?
I love
right?
it.
It almost puts it out of bounds to even have that thought, right? And all those people, those business people, I have no idea what their motivations are, but I'm sure they read that too. It's like, how could a reasonable human being possibly oppose this arrangement?
Wait a minute, halftime. Is this what we're doing? Whoa. Hey, listen, he was my pastor for 37 years. I love Pastor Randolph. And that was not a dig at him. That was a joke that Tony Wiggins and I were making. And we grew up at Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, where they were first called Christians at. So take that. Yeah, Becky Brown. But the council voted down the House of Esther. I said that last night. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to Liddell and I'm listening to all of these people.
Yeah.
Priestley, everybody talk about Flint needs this. Oh, Flint is poor. Flint needs this help. We need people to come and help us. Isn't that what the hell House of Esther was doing? And I said to myself, and I told Mickey, I said, wow, only if they fought it for the House of Esther like this.
Right.
But they didn't do it because they have Revive downtown, same program, like by the Sneally administration. So of course, no, we're not gonna fight for the House of Esther because I got my people over here that I'm picking that I want to do this, not these people over here. And then I heard today that House of Esther may be just picking up and moving because they left it open and everything just got. I seen the videos; it was just destroyed. Just
so if they wanted to help, it was 5 families. If they wanted to help, is that what they were debating about? It was 5 families that they were talking about helping. But if House of Esther was serving, they were servicing.
They've been serving forever,
right? I don't get it.
What I saw, I watched some of those House of Esther. I went back and looked at them from like, I don't know, it was like October of 2022, and you could see all the debate where they were. That and also the food co-op on the north side. I forget its proper name, but Judy Priestley, she always pulls out. Well, I'm an accountant. She always pulls that out, and she said, I just don't feel like. She always has this thing of I don't think that your model is sustainable, that sort of thing. And it's like she always has those questions. It seems like they come out. I mean, I can't say that I really know this, but just watching the few episodes that I have, it's like that's who's treated with suspicion always. Right. Like, do they really have their act together? And that, that's what it's the idea of profiling people is, connected to a lot of other things, but to have suspicion about Ashley Capital, not appropriate, right? To say that this doesn't seem quite right. You can ask that of people who don't have much at all and who are giving everything they have for House of Esther or for the food co-op. But if, then you're going to put the hard questions to them and not give them that little pittance, that small little bit. But 72 million, it's okay if Quincy and Candace are still asking questions minutes before the vote, showing that they don't really understand.
Right.
That's okay. That's okay.
Right. And then another thing, a shout out to our other Flint Politics Reboot member, Derek Smart, who's offers so much great content over the years. This is another thing I want you guys to pay attention to. Dr. Padroni, you especially. He said that the House of Esther will become a dispensary. I totally agree. I've heard that word on the street. Is that's what they wanted to make it. That's why they had to have House of Esther fail. So let me give you a little history, Dr. Padroni, on the House of Esther. It sits on, I think, Flint's biggest parcel.
St. Agnes.
St. Agnes, yeah. And it goes back and back and back. It has the schools, the little houses there. Yep, but then it's a lot of wooded area. But it's right in the middle of a residential area. And they don't really care too much about that around here because they have the asphalt company building right across the street from. So I don't like to say projects, but that's what it is, a project. Like they're experimenting. Mm-hmm. And I want you to watch that. And we're going to follow that as Flint Politics Reboot 810 as we move along. We're going to see what happens to House of Esther. We're going to see who hands that ends up in, because that's going to be the next biggest thing that tries to get. Just watch what I'm saying. I'm usually right about these type of things. Oh, I know what the other plug was. To all of the broadcasters, podcasters that lost their job at 910, 810 News Media Group is always looking for new talent. If you would love to become a part of our team, get with our superior, Mickey Jordan. Email him at 810newsmediagroup@gmail.com. You have to get your own endorsements, your own advertisers, just like you did at 910. Nothing changed. You will not be paid here. But hey, come and join and be a part of a great team. All right. So yeah, back to you, Clack. What are you thinking about the dispensary? So you heard that too.
I heard that a year or two ago when they first started talking about they, house not denying House of Esther their property or whatnot. That's what I heard that they're trying to do with it.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So, I was trying to give Mickey a chance to get back and hit the end button here, but
yeah,
last words. So, Clack, I want you to give some last words, and Dr. Padroni is going to take us out. But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody to tune in. What's tomorrow? Wednesday, Solutions to the Problems, 2 o'clock,
2 o'clock.
with
Yeah, Trevor.
Michael Clack and Trevor Berryhill, our other brother from 810. And then Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock, AD Uncensored. And then 6:30 we have the Flint School Board meeting.
Yep.
And then Thursday, the Winters Hall show. You guys thought I forgot. So Thursday we have the Winters Hall show this week. Del Rico Lloyd next week.
Okay.
Got Hill Harper. This is not going to be a lovely, fancy, smancy interview for Hill Harper. We want to know why you bought those attorneys. How come you didn't give us any water? Where you been, brother? You know, how come you left us hanging? So we got questions for Hill Harper. And I want to see, we need answers. That's the name of the podcast. We need answers. So,
I wish Mickey was here so we could end the
Oh,
intro with
Where's
the
Mickey?
intro.
we're in the outro with the
The
intro.
intro,
Yeah, I don't know how
yeah.
to do all of that. And he'll kill me if I pick with his equipment. Mickey's probably watching. Church announcements. That's right versus wrong. Church announcements. We always have to have those. We're going to pass the offering plate too. $, Cash App, $, 810 News Media Group. That's our offering break. So go ahead and take us out. I'm going to go figure out how to end this broadcast. Last
do it. I
words
think
with Michael Clack. Oh, you can say your last words first.
I will say that I'm pretty much speechless about what happened last night. I was there until the end. I was watching from home, and then I just couldn't really get the feel of what was going on, so I decided to come on down around 9:30. So I just I don't really like throwing shots at people that haven't really thrown shots at me.
Oh, just write the
But
names down. I'll do it for you.
It's, I just
Say, what can they do to me?
the way the meeting was run, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't like people in the audience being threatened.
Oh yeah, that was horrible. It's horrible.
It was just like, lady gets put out, and she really didn't care. She gave no.
Yeah, she gave zero.
Yeah,
they put out Beverly
yeah,
Biggs last night.
she
It was
gave-
classic.
When I got off the elevator, she was sitting right there, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry for what they did." She was
Don't
like,
be
"I
sorry. Yeah, I know. She was
"Okay,
like,
my
don't be
bad."
sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really like speechless. I'm almost like appalled. You know what I mean? Like this is
This is us.
This
This
is-
is what
this
the
is-
world sees.
this is what we have to go through.
Right.
This is a city of people. This is 80,000 people that are gonna have to deal with this, and then our kids are gonna have to deal with it. Like this is
This is horrendous.
I can't even. Why does it seem like we're working hard to try to do things the right way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's people that just like, all right, we just gonna do this thing however we want to do it.
Well, Clack, you and I talked about that earlier, and it was I'm gonna have to find this video and post it. The legendary Tupac said something he was giving a speech one day, and he said, I should be picking up my ancestors' fight. I should be picking up where the last generation left off.
Not
But
fighting
I
my
ca-
ancestors.
Right.
Yeah.
But now we spending time fighting the ancestors because they still trying to get their hands in the pocket.
Mhm.
And it's like for a young child, because I'm gonna call myself a child to some of these elders that's out
They
here.
are old enough to be our parents and grandparents.
Right. And it looks good when we see them getting their money in the political pot and they're putting some change in their pocket. And so you got people that were on the right path that just kind of venture off. Because if it works for Uncle Johnny, I want to get some money too.
Yep.
You
That's
know?
where, is that where Mickey is right now? Did he head on over to get something from Ashley?
Yeah, he went to go meet with Ashley Capital.
Is that where Mickey?
Mickey went to go meet with Ashley Capital, but yeah, no, he didn't. Over here at 810 News Media
Yeah.
Group, we will never sell out. Even though we were approached, Ashley
Yeah.
Capital approached us. They never said, "Hey, we
Not
want to
me.
give you some money." They never said anything like that. They wanted to talk to 810. I've never had anybody worth more than $10-15 million to reach out to me. So I that's when my mom, those Oakley senses kicked in the Marshall side and said, maybe you ought to sit your ass down because this is not a conversation that you should be in. So I didn't go for it. Bad mistake? Maybe. I don't know. I know I just can't sit here and tell the people every week I'm giving it to you raw and real, and then I'm going to take a check on the backside. That's not Winter's Hall. So, Dr. Padroni, take us out tonight.
Okay. So number one, happy birthday, RL. It's his real birthday today.
Wait a minute. He just, he has a birthday every month, but in case this is
No, I think it's the real one.
Okay.
He was looking at yesterday, but today is the real one.
All right. Happy birthday, RL.
So that's number one. Number two, to me, it's symbolic that they would kill the House of Esther, and not in a good way, right?
Mhm.
House of Esther is about protecting the most vulnerable children of mothers who have basically nowhere else to turn. So there's a lot of symbolism in that and what they're trying to quash. I think that's important to think about. And my final point is TikTok, take that.
TikTok, take that. So you guys, thank you. Dr. Padroni, thank you for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to have you on here. It was great meeting you yesterday. Mr. Clack, thank you for also joining us. Anybody else in the Flint Politics Reboot family, we will be doing this every so often. If you are interested in co-hosting like Dr. Padroni was, let me know. Inbox me, hit me up, join the group, share the group with all your friends and family, because we are trying to do what's right here at 810 News Media Group. One more time, Cash App, $ 810 News Media Group. Shouts out to Mickey Jordan, the greatest producer in the world. And we thank you. We are out.